Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Cam Robinson, draft guru from Elite Prospects, was there at the Sphere, and that's how we started our conversation, which we recorded earlier today with Cam, is basically, well, we asked him right off the hop, how was the Sphere?
Well, I mean, it was very cool. It was unique. Obviously, the graphics were really cool. I would have liked it if they were maybe pumping it a little bit more in the days leading up to it. You know, speaking to some of the locals, they had no idea that the draft was going on in Vegas this week. And, you know, we were driving by the Sphere. Our hotel was near there, and it wasn't, you know, graphics weren't on there basically until like an hour before it started. So a little disappointing there. And I mean, pardon me, Nashville gave us little swag bags, including like little bottles of whiskey and hats and all sorts of great stuff. So, I mean, tough to beat that. No real food choices for us there. So maybe they didn't look after the media as well. I hear the NHL guys got a better spread for their meals, but overall, super cool experience for sure. I know the fans had a great time. They were rowdy, they're raucous in there too. So a really unique setting, and I think a well done farewell to kind of the traditional draft format.
Well, if they're not treating the media right, if there's no bottles of whiskey for the media, the
Right.
NHL can't go back there. Come on. Number one priority. Hey, Cam, the Canucks draft 5 players Saturday. First up, round 3, Swedish forward Melvin Fernstrom. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, so I had an opportunity to see Fernstrom a handful of times at the U18s to finish his season. He's a really skilled player. He played a big role offensively for that club, and he put over a point a game. He has, you know, really good offensive instincts. I like his hands. I like his awareness on the ice, the way that he can kind of find little pockets of space. Off puck, he's really good on the power play as well. As a setup man and as a finisher, you know, he led the J20, the Swedish Junior League, in goals this season. He was top 3 in points. He slowed down a little bit in the playoffs, but, you know, a really dynamic offensive player at that level. Then there's the but. And why he was there in round 3 is that the feet are below average. They don't project to be at a level that you would expect from someone who's going to play a top 6 role in the NHL. Now, of course, you're picking in the 3rd round, and so I appreciate the upside swing on this, is that they look at a player who has a lot of skill and, you know, he's not big, and he doesn't play heavy. You know, he can get forced to the outside a little bit, but, you know, you can't teach creativity and kind of hockey IQ offensively. And so they're hoping that maybe with some maturity, he can add a little more strength and get a little more speed and be able to fight into those harder areas. But I expect that he'll see, you know, a lot more time in the SHL next season. And then we'll kind of have a better indication of what kind of player he's going to be long term.
4 other players the Canucks drafted. My family lives in the Port Moody area. Cam, there's a lot of people out there, especially people involved with Port Moody minor hockey, very excited about their 6th round pick, Parker Alkos. People in Port Moody excited. Should Canuck fans be excited?
You know, he might be my favorite pick for them at the draft. So yeah, be excited, Port Moody there. You know, the skating, and that's kind of the big thing here is, yes, he's a 6'3" right shot defenseman, which is great and very, very young for this class. Like he's still 17. So that alone is promising. But then you add the skating, and it's plus rated, you know, projected to be above average at the NHL level. You know, you put those things together, and quite often that results in a 10-year NHL career. So I really like his defensive game. It's very smooth, very refined for his age, especially against the rush. You know, he keeps his stick in the right spots. He knows how to mirror with his footwork. You know, his 4-way mobility allows him to, you know, kind of handle speed on the rush and turn with them and keep him to the outside. So I like all those things. You know, I don't like the way he handles the puck very well. He did flash some like really nice retrievals, make a play to beat somebody with a little fake and then snap a good outlet pass, and you're like, ooh, but very inconsistent in that regard. But the mere fact that he was even flashing it is a good sign that there is some evolution to that side of his game, because to be an NHLer, you need to retrieve pucks quickly and you need to be able to make outlet passes regularly. So if he can do that, if he can add that element to his game on a more consistent basis, I think there's a very real chance that he can play NHL games. And in the 6th round, and a right shot defenseman, yeah, I think he's probably my favorite pick for them.
Hey, Cam, you can never have enough goal scoring. Look at this, Anthony Romani, round 6 for the Canucks, 58 goals, and over 100 points. What are they getting there?
They're getting a goal scorer. Absolutely. He led the OHL. He passed over last season in his original draft year because of the skating. Nearly made our draft board at Elite Prospects, so despite that last year. And then we had him in the top 100 this year as a re-entry. Just because he did improve those feet a little bit, it still projects to be below average, which puts him into that kind of questionable whether he'll be able to produce as a professional hockey player. But, just a massive draft +1. From all indications, like a really good kid too. But he can beat guys off the rush at the junior level with his hands. One-on-one situations, he can be pretty dynamic. He really leverages his skill, the hands, and then the release. So it's a 6th-round pick on an overage kid, but you have to respect the fact that the Canucks aren't taking swings like we talked about last week. They're not settling for players that could maybe play an NHL game as a depth defender or a bottom 6 center or something like that. These are guys that, if everything kind of works out, you might have something here that could be an impactful piece. The odds are against it, but why not take a chance?
Another OHL kid, center from the Barrie Colts, Riley Patterson. What does he bring to the table?
Yeah, he's interesting. Really great rookie season. So he stuck around for Junior A for next year as a 16-year-old and tore it up down there. And I think that really allowed him to kind of blossom offensively and give him the confidence to step in this year in his draft year as a rookie. I believe he led all rookies in the O in goals, and he was top 2 or 3 in points. Really good release. I like the way he handles the puck. The playmaking's a bit behind where the shot is. Again, the skating, it's just okay. We actually had some arguments among our staff on whether it was below average or above average. Some people on our team, like it to be maybe a little bit plus. Myself, I think it's a little bit below. And I know some NHL teams thought the same thing. And then that's why, after statistically, he should have been picked much earlier. And if he had better feet, he would have been probably taken in like the 2nd or 3rd round. But again, you're taking a swing on a kid with a lot of skill. So he has a lot of offensive talent and a lot of offensive upside. And I really like the confidence that he showed this year. I think that was kind of the standout trait, is that you don't often see these kids step in as rookies and really kind of take control of their line and take control of the rush with the puck. And he did that a lot. So, as a right-handed center, I like the swing.
And Cam, before I let you go, I know there were some disappointments. E.J. Emery from Cloverdale, it drops to number 30, and the Rangers. But 19 of the 32 players taken in the first round were born in Canada. What does that say about the state of hockey in our country these days?
Oh, Canada, hey, it's on Canada Day here. I think it's strong. I mean, they still got to work on figuring out what to do in net. Long term, it's been a point of contention, a sore spot for Hockey Canada, developing goaltenders for a number of years now. But otherwise, it's strong. The hockey here in Canada, the OHL, the CHL, it's still the premier developmental league, feeder league for the NHL. I do really respect what the USHL and the NCAA has been doing, building out their programs and really competing against it. But at the end of the day, kids in Canada want to stay in Canada and play hockey, and Europeans want to come over here and learn how to play the Canadian style of hockey, because that's the way you're going to be playing in the NHL too.
Cam, you're busy today on this Canada Day. Happy Canada Day. We can't thank you enough for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. And hopefully I can get home from Vegas one of these days too.